we have a caller on the line who's a former assemblyman in Nevada with Las Vegas and was part of the vote for the stadium. John Moore is joining us now. And John, were you just listening to the show and heard the topic and wanted to weigh in?
I was, Amy. Thank you for having me. I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in San Francisco. The first NFL game I ever went to was an Oakland Raiders game in '74 at the Coliseum. So I have plenty of understanding of what's going on up there. I moved to Vegas in 2006 and was elected to the Assembly in 2014. When the Raiders first approached us about coming to Las Vegas, it was received pretty skeptical. We didn't accept them on their word as far as you've left other cities, what's in it for us type thing. Mm-hmm. And once we got down to the nuts and bolts of it, and I met with Mark Bedane and others, I was assured of a commitment to Las Vegas financially that they would stay here for the life of the bond and make this work for our city. When we're up there for the special session in Carson City to vote on this. I didn't plan on it, but I ended up being the deciding vote. I could have killed it in the Assembly, and I chose not to. After my meetings with Mark Bedane and others, I was assured I felt comfortable with my position.
Why do you think that this is the right thing for Las Vegas, knowing the city as you do?
I think that, bottom line, it brings jobs to our city. We have plenty of folks that are out of work, and with a potential 2.5-year construction effort going into this, I think that for our city, for Las Vegas, it is a great thing. It'll put folks back to work. I see the business aspect from the area around where the stadium will be built, which is in my district.
Okay.
The businesses that will be come up from that are phenomenal. I mean, it's a win-win for our city. This is Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, not Oakland, not San Francisco. And like I said, I grew up there, but this is Vegas. Why would we not want an NFL team here?
John Moore is a former Nevada assemblyman representing Las Vegas, and as he tells us, was part of the vote for this new stadium funding project. So outside of the business aspect and obviously pro sports teams, but the NFL in specific generates a lot of money. I mean, the NFL is a cash cow, so it makes sense that any city in America would want an NFL team. But outside of that, how difficult, or maybe it wasn't at all, but how much convincing did it take for the public to get on board and use their own tax dollars to build a stadium?
There was a considerable amount of opposition to this initially, but I can say that there is no local Nevada taxpayer money being put into this effort. There is zero. And that's what the big misnomer is out there. This is being put on the backs of tourists, the 45 million plus that come into our city every year, by a room tax, and that we raise the room tax by approximately $1.25 in addition to what it already is, give or take a few. So unless you, as a Nevadan resident, chooses to stay in a local hotel, we have no impact. This is not on our backs.
Ironically, then, the Raiders fans who will have to travel to Vegas to see their team, they're going to have to be part of funding for the stadium.
Absolutely. They're going to, not only they're going to pay to come here, they're going to pay the additional $1.25 for their own team living in Las Vegas. So I know that sounds arrogant, and I can appreciate that, but it's what I'm saying is that there is no Nevada tax dollars being put forth on this.
Right.
But at the same time, now don't get me wrong, there are many issues in this bill that I did not like and do not support. And I had major issues with this when we were discussing this. In fact, I spoke to Governor Sandoval 30 minutes before we voted on it to try and hammer out a few of these issues, but it just wasn't, some of them were not, we could not hammer them out together, so we basically were forced into a vote. They put the bill together with the convention center expansion. Okay, some background is that we have a lot of conventions here in Vegas. We have the Consumer Electronics Show. We have SEMA. We have quite a few major conventions here every year.
Mm-hmm.
They packaged this bill together, the stadium bill with a convention expansion bill, $400 million for the convention center to expand. And they packaged them together, and they put the pressure on, saying that with the CES folks were telling us, hey, we're going to leave Las Vegas because you can't accommodate us anymore on convention space, so in a couple years we're going to have to leave your city. And you're talking that convention alone brings a little over $100 million to our city every year.
Ooh.
And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to turn that down.
Right.
And so when you hear that kind of talk from the CEOs of those type of conventions, and they package smartly from a political aspect of it, they packaged those two bills together. So if you voted no, you were saying, we don't want your conventions here.
Got it. Before I let you
go,
go,
I'm going with that.
I do. One of those where they kind of have you over a barrel.
Absolutely.
But as you say, the economics of it, as long as the stadium gets built on budget and the team does, in fact, get there and stay there, as you say, in the long run, this could be a great economic boost. Before I let you go, just out of curiosity, because now the Vegas Golden Knights will be dropping the puck starting in the fall, and then the NFL team doesn't belong there yet, but will, and you're creating a home for it there. Before these two teams, who did sports fans in Vegas, like actual Vegas natives, root for?
I would have to say, honestly, no one, because nobody here in Vegas is everybody's from everywhere.
Oh.
So, you know what I mean?
Nobody's born in Vegas?
No, not anymore. It doesn't seem that way. If you find a Vegas native, you've hit the jackpot. And so everybody seems to root for, there's 50,000 sports bars here, and they all have a theme, and they're all from other cities.
Got it.
So there is no one specific team. But, I shook hands with Mark Bedane the night before the vote. I specifically asked to meet with him because I was pretty upset, because I felt, okay, you're going to build a stadium in my district, and you haven't reached out to me yet. And so I was not a happy camper. And so I put the word out, this guy needs to come talk to me.
Okay.
And to his credit, at 11:30 on a Thursday night, they called me and said, hey, he'll meet with you. So we met, and I asked him 3 questions, and I had no idea really who this guy was. He was just some guy representing the Raiders.
Got it.
And I just went out to him in the hallway in the Capitol there and said, okay, give me 3 reasons why I should support your team coming to Vegas. And he lined them out for me, and my questions to him, in addition to that, were, will you sign a lease agreement for the life of the bond, 30 years, and will you pay a significant amount of rent to the county, because the county now has to own that stadium, not
right.
So there's an issue there.
Okay.
And he agreed to both of those issues, and we shook hands on that. I'm going to take him at his word, but you can bet your patootie that I will be reaching out to him this week and next week for another meeting to hammer out a few of these issues and to solidify that commitment.
Well, John, I appreciate you calling up of your own volition and sharing some of the background, the details, and also the fact the stadium's going in your district. Just for people who are listening, Mark Bedane is the president of the Raiders, so he works for Mark Davis, who's the majority owner. We would love to have you on again as this proceeds and as a lot of this stuff is playing out over the next 3 years as the stadium is being built. But thank you so much for calling up and sharing with us.
No, thank you, Amy, and I really do feel for the fans in Oakland and the Bay Area, because that was where I grew up and that was my hometown, and I feel for them. But hey, Oakland had a chance and they didn't come through. So
all right, sir. Again, thank you so much for, especially at this late hour. It's not super late in Vegas, I guess, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.